And we're live. And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to another episode, the final episode in the season of Spur Live Leadership Conversation. This evening, we have with us Bishop Conrad the Honorable Conrad Pitkin.
That's all
How are you,
right.
sir?
I am wonderful. I'm great. I'm blessed.
All right. It's great. It's
So,
great to have you
so, so,
here.
so Wendell, right? You're Wendell Lawrence, right?
Yes. We are
Yes.
actually speaking for the first time today. Well, apart from when we
Yes.
spoke earlier in the week.
Right.
It's great to meet you. When my team recommended, I did some research and said, okay, well, let us have a chat with this stalwart of a man.
Research is not always good.
Yeah. But Bishop, I just want to start off by asking you to share with us, like, what was your day like? Just give us a quick rundown of what today was like for you.
It's good. I was in Kingston today. I had some rounds to do re my custodial duties, and then I chair the Teacher Service Commission, so I had to go by the ministry to meet
Mhm.
with my director. And then I felt that I needed some fish. So we drove across to St. Thomas. Now that's why I'm late getting home because I
Right.
didn't think I wanted to come home without getting some good snapper. And if you
Yes.
want good snapper or anything like that, I got an 11-pound snapper today.
What?
Yes, and I got some good goldfish for my
Nice.
breakfast in the morning. So I'm in good stead. I'm in good stead. Fresh love for food. You don't
Yes.
get you don't get it better anywhere else in Jamaica than St.
Wow. All right. So I must make I must make a note.
Thomas.
Okay, cool. So your days are typically like that. I mean, we're trying to understand about you as a leader. What's it like for you typically, and basically you shared about your day today. Tell me about your family. You have 11 grandkids.
That's what I'm told. And you might hear some of them in the background here because some of
Yes.
them are still with me and some haven't gone home yet. And my daughter just came to say hi, to leave some fruits for me with another granddaughter. She's somewhere here too and might be gone soon.
Yes. Okay. Well, boy, congrats. I mean, I've just reached 14 years of marriage recently. You are
Congratulations, you
how?
know.
Say again?
Congratulations.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. We celebrated a week ago
Wow.
our anniversary. Yes. How long have you been married?
Well, if you can come from 1974, you can get it. I think it's up like it's 46 or something, 45, 46. It's at
Jeez,
1974. You get 1974, 46.
you're married from before my born.
Right? I married, I was pretty young, but
Yeah.
that's the best way to go.
Yes. I can attest to that. Um, you have been the leader of your church for how long? How long have you been in the pastorate?
All right. I have been in the pastorate since 1975. My first year, I was bivocational, and then I went full time in June 1976. So that would make me 45 years in full time ministry.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, 44, 45 years full time ministry, almost 40 odd years.
What's it been like?
It has its challenges, it has its moment of greatness, it has had its downside, but it and the final analysis satisfactory.
Mm,
I would not exchange it for anything else.
yes, yes. Yes. What are some of the what you describe as some of the moments that as of greatness? Like what are the moments that you can say, boy, as a leader, I look forward to moments like these?
I don't call them greatness. I just call them achievements in ministry.
Yes.
Um, and there are quite some. I took a church with about three members, 5 members, left it with 35 after a year. I took another church with 14, left it with 60. Took
Mm,
another one with 10, left it with 100.
wow.
And took one with 300, and we are over 1,200 today.
That's good. That's significant.
And
God has
we
been good.
saw, I've seen church growth of over 100% in one year. So those are some achievements. Those are numerical
Yes.
growth. The important thing
Yes.
is where you go and you see the lives of people are maturing. So
Hmm.
numerical growth is just one side of the story. It is is the quality of persons, the maturing of people. That is what is important. So I don't always emphasize the numbers as I
Right.
emphasize the quality of the believer that you make, the disciple that is a result of your ministry. So if there are any
Hmm.
greatness, it would have been the disciples, the amount of persons who are in ministry today, because
Right.
our paths have been crossed, the amount of persons who have been leaders of their denomination, because our paths have been crossed, and because I have had some small input in their lives. And
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that's what's most important to me.
Yes. Yes. What kind of leadership structure?
Hold 1 second.
Sure, no problem. All right. So we're just giving Bishop a second there.
Yes, go ahead.
Right. What kind of leadership structure do you have at your current church now? Like how is your leadership structured in terms of young persons, elderly, etc.
Well, I think I might be the oldest. So we have my my communication director. I think he's still in his 30s. And alongside, he's still the leader of the youth group with a good core of young leaders with him. Um, my associate pastor is a little younger than I am, and there's another younger minister than both of us. So there's a mixture of senior and youth,
Right.
and the church board is the same, a mixture of senior and youth, and that's the way to go, because
Yes.
if you're going to look at succession planning,
Hmm.
then you must have persons who are coming into their own. So when senior persons move out of the executive board, the young ones are not just being made, they are there to take over. So you have that succession planning straight along
Hmm.
um, throughout the leadership tier.
Okay. Okay. How and so I want to talk a little bit now about the COVID and the effects of COVID on the global landscape, the global church. A lot of persons will agree that the church is not the building, but it's the people who gather together. And the way how, as a church, we have been, kind of forced, for lack of a better word, to operate. That a certain point in the year, the gathering was not a thing. We had to figure out another way to do it. How did your church adjust to that whole situation?
We were able to adjust easily. We had no difficulty in the adjustment. There's no question that COVID has adversely affect worship, right?
Yes.
Globally. I
Yes.
recall in the early times of uh, April, May, you're looking into some churches like in Italy and in Europe, you would see in the inside of the church coffins just lay out along the way. And you wondered where you were, you know, what's happening. We began to hear about it actually before it came here. And I tell you, amazingly, at the time in March, I was chairman of the Jamaica Umbrella Groups of Churches.
Mm-hmm.
I had just stepped down after 7 years as president of the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches.
Right.
And I was still chairman of the, so I had to lead that greater body at the time. And we have been saying the church is not the building, it is the people. But
Right.
in this new norm, we were forced to more emphasize the the fact that wherever you are, wherever you are, that's where the church is. So
Right.
when we had to go down to like 10 persons, remember that period?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
Um, my ten was really my musicians, my worship team, and my ministerial team. That was my
Yes. Yes.
10. So
Yes.
we couldn't go any further and then we had to cut the worship team
Mm-hmm.
so that we could fit the 10.
Right.
And well, yeah, you had the worship team, the musicians, you had the technicians, um, and the ministerial team. The cleaners and so were outside, so they were not in the sanctuary, so they were not numbered
Right.
among those in the
Right.
sanctuary. And those in the
Right.
studio were not numbered among those in the sanctuary because
Oh wow.
we have a studio. We have a studio.
Right. No. So as you
Uh,
mentioned that, I want to ask about that. So that was something that you have always had, the studio.
yes, we have always been in the media. We had a thriving program on TVJ for many years, and we
Ah.
stopped it a few years ago. But we have a 24/7 um, cable station that we
Oh.
operate.
Oh.
And so we would broadcast live because we have a fiber optic cable from the church to the cable office. So we receive signal and send signal.
Wow.
And, and so we were, so while we on a Sunday we were going live, we were on our website, on Facebook on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So there was nothing new to us. And then we started to build a studio a few years ago. It took a little while, but we
Mm-hmm.
finished it late last year, just in time for
Wow.
us to do a lot of our broadcasts from the studio.
Yes.
Right? So actually, when it started first, we went in the came out of the center, went in the studio, and then we went back in the center because we felt we wanted to give the people a sanctuary feeling. So we went
Right.
back
Right.
in the sanctuary.
Right. Right.
So we were there. And the irony about it, I remember the day when we spoke with the Prime Minister. We were in discussion, and the week because we started to meet every week as national church leaders. And I said to the executive, let us begin to think about the possibility of closing the sanctuary doors because we didn't like what was happening. I said, take a while to pray. So actually the day when we met to make the decision whether we would close the sanctuary was the very day the Prime Minister requested a meeting with us. And
Wow.
by then, the Church of God in Jamaica had already made the decision on the Saturday before the Monday meeting that they were going to close. So when we had the discussion, it is something that was in train already, and people thought that
Yes.
government would close. But we had the concern for the
Yes.
congregation.
Mm-hmm.
You are leading people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're where people are, you have a concern for them, then you must understand what they were feeling. And here is where leadership comes in. Because
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
explain what's the need, why do we need to wear masks, why do we need to have distancing. And I began to say from day one, physical distancing. Keep socially
Yes.
connected, but you
Yes.
must be physically distance yourself from. Why do we need to wash our hands? What's the importance of it? And so we were able to do that, and the transition from a large congregation where in any given Sunday I would have anywhere between 650 and 800 people in church,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you transition from that to empty pews
Yes. Yes.
and just two or three persons sitting before you, and the musicians behind you, and
Yes.
the camera crew
Mm-hmm.
is there
Mm-hmm.
with you. So
Mm-hmm.
you transition into preaching at empty pews,
Right.
which was not difficult for us because we have been doing radio broadcasts for many years. So when you
Right.
walk
Right.
into
Right.
a radio studio, you have to just imagine that you have a congregation before you
Yes. 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 And speak as the Lord leads.
and speak as the Lord leads. So for us, it was easy. The challenge, however, is that once you do that, your income is going to
Right.
bottom up.
Right.
So the decision must be, you must keep the people of God together, whatever it takes. So here we were, we have a studio, we have a good system, we have been in media, so we didn't need to learn anything. We were there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you minister to your people in a radius of 8, 10, 15 miles? How do you get to them? How do you connect with them? Um, Not all of them have the cable station at home.
Right.
Not all of them have an app that you can Zoom to them because you have
Right.
senior citizens who are not au fait. Not all
Right.
of them are on Facebook because I wasn't on Facebook until COVID. Not all of
Wow.
them are on Facebook. Not all of them are on the YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you connect? How do you keep connect? What do you do? People are
Right.
losing jobs, um, layoffs, redundance, places are closing. How do you minister to the physical and material needs of the people? So those are some of the challenges that
Right.
not just we face at Faith, but I think the entire church in Jamaica, the entire church
Yes.
globally,
Yes.
faced and is still facing these
Yes.
challenges. Although we went from 10 back to what,
20
six
at one
feet,
point. 20 and
40
then
square
60.
feet per 40 square feet per person.
Mm-hmm.
We can seat 150. The others can seat up to 300, 500, and others maybe can only seat 10. Depends on the
Mm-hmm.
size of your building. So the
Mm-hmm.
challenge
Mm-hmm.
remains.
Yes.
So you have 600, 700 coming to church. You can only seat 150, 150 in each service. You're having another 700 not coming because
Yes.
those who didn't come last week come in this week. So you continue to face those challenges even today. And with the now community spread, you're at
Yes.
another phase in the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we had our protocols are very strident,
Yes.
maybe more than other, very strident. We don't allow family to sit together. I call that
Wow.
semantics. To get people in church, you do semantics. We don't do that because my family might be COVID free, but you don't know that.
Wow.
So we stick to the 6 feet apart per person.
No matter who.
No. It don't hurt a family to sit apart for 2 hours.
Yes, it doesn't. That's
If,
true.
if anything, it's going to make it tighter when you get home after. But it's
Yes.
still not going to
Yes.
separate.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we
So,
don't do that.
and part of the rationale for that is the precedence that you're setting.
The precedents. If as Christians, we must obey authority. I can't, as a pastor, ask my members to obey me, and I can't obey authority. Authority it begins with me, and I
Yes.
must set the example. So everybody sits 6 feet apart. You
Wow.
are your temperature is checked. You must wear a mask while you're inside the sanctuary, except those who are ministering. And where I stand to preach is a minimum of 10 feet from the first pew. So I'm away from the person. We have 2 services, and between service, we go through and we sanitize every pew before anybody comes in. So we have maintained that throughout. When you do that, you come under severe strain.
Yes, I can just imagine. No,
Yeah.
so, all right, so let me ask you something now. As a leader now, as the head of the church who has the position that, okay, well, I need to be subject to the authority in keeping with God's leading because I'm expecting my people to do the same with me. When you're in the position now where you need to make a decision to say, guys, this is how we're going to operate. How do you, as a leader, as a human being, how do you deal with the criticism that comes now from that kind of approach? When persons are challenging, whether for good reasons or bad reasons, but there would be persons who say, do we have to go that far? How do you, as a leader now, stand your ground? What kind of tools you use?
You have to know that you're doing one in the best interest of the people you lead. That's number one. Number two, is this of God or is it of man?
Yeah.
Number three, is COVID a judgment of God or is it a disobedience of humankind? Right?
Yeah.
And if it is a disobedience of humankind and God allows it, then you have to correct it because you started it. So the first thing to do is to become obedient.
Look at that. Look at that.
Right? So you must become obedient. And so,
wow.
Is there a health risk? If there's no health risk, you can do what you want to take your chances. If there's a health risk, then if you do not do what you ought to do, you must be prepared to take the consequences.
Consequences, right.
So I rather be criticized for what I do, which is right, than to be criticized for what is not right that I allow.
Yes, 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 yes.
So for instance,
I get you.
when the government say people must wear masks, I went about have sponsors sponsor the manufacture of masks that I could give out. So rather than going on the media, standing in the pulpit and tell people to wear masks, I start giving them a mask and say, here is a mask, wear it. And this is the reason why you need to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm wearing one myself.
Yes.
And when you come into church, you don't have a mask. My workers give you one. Free of cost.
Yeah. It's the action. So the action is speaking louder than the word.
The action is supporting the word and maybe stronger than the word.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is interesting. So let me ask you now. Earlier, you mentioned about some of the challenges that are still being faced by your church, other churches globally. Um, and one of the things that one of the particular one I want to zero in on is when it comes to things like benevolence and outreach. So we know that there are some persons who are not necessarily connected technologically, um, and I'm curious as to how you find ways to connect with those persons. But before we even go there, how do you actually continue now to do outreach
All
in
right.
COVID time when there's a social distancing thing?
So one of the challenge that we have a sizable staff.
Yes.
Can we afford to send them home? If we send them home, how do they survive?
Right.
So if the God you preached, if the God you serve, the God who you tell people about is the God he is, then he'll have to now give us the wisdom to find the ways that means. So
Right.
we kept our staff on. Income has fallen, right? Wait up.
Right. Right.
We kept our staff on. And so one person is specifically designated every week to get on the phone, call our members. We have WhatsApp group, a major WhatsApp group that we try to keep in touch with as many persons as we possibly can.
Mhm.
Other departments carry WhatsApp group that they keep in touch and inform what's going on. Do we cut our benevolence? Do we cut our giving? Do we cut the
Mhm.
aid? Do we cut the people? Well, if we do it, who will support them? So we can't do that. So we
Mhm.
ensure that those who are needy and not just have a need, but the most needed, we ensure that they are constantly receiving care packages.
Right.
We have persons in nursing home that we support. We ensure that, those persons are supported so that the nursing home does not come under
Right.
financial
Right.
strain because they are facing their own challenges.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
we keep all those outreach going. We can't evangelism, we can't do it face to face anymore. So we do a virtual Bible study from the studio, recorded, because the restriction again the time when
Right. The curfew times.
the curfew starts, you can't go in. So we do our pre-recording. And then we have a program at midday that is called Time of Reflection,
Right.
where the word is spoken and we invite persons to call in or send us messages through Facebook, YouTube, and we pray for them. So
Mhm.
we keep constantly in touch. And the music ministry on a Saturday evening have a 1.5 hour time of worship virtually.
Wow. Wow.
So and
That's
that
nice.
comes from the sanctuary. So God has been good. We're down in our income, but we are going. We have not
Right.
stopped any of the programs. None of the outreach that we have in good time pre-COVID, we still carry them.
Nice. Nice. That's commendable. That's commendable, and that takes guts. That takes, like, a certain grit.
Mhm.
To keep it, as you said, if the God that we preach is the God that we preach,
Yeah.
then he will give the wisdom to find a way.
He will give the wisdom to find a way.
You know, yeah. Well, we're at 9 o'clock already. This is a short. This is going to be a short chat. I'm particularly interested in because I know that your team had reached out to us some time ago, and we were, you know, doing some stuff to help with what you're doing. But
Yes.
what I'm interested in is, how is it that you, as a team, as a church, go about in terms of employing technology? Like, what was the kind of thinking that said we need to have a studio? What was, because you weren't preparing for COVID, you were just, in my mind, you were just preparing to expand the kingdom. But what was the thought process?
COVID was not part of the process for the studio. We
Right.
are in, I have always been on radio for maybe 43 years of my ministry or so. I've been on radio. I was at one time the national speaker for my denomination on
Right.
gospel and song. I had two radio programs um, personally. I had one with RGR and I had one with Radio West. That was a live program coming out of the studios of Radio West. Um, we have a we have a cable station.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We must have programs at all times, and the
Yes.
program we must be, we are going 24/7. So we needed a studio, and rather than just have the technical part of the studio, we need to have a studio where we could do presentation, you could preach from there, you could have discussions from there, you could open it up to other churches or other
Mm-hmm.
groups in like-minded faith that would and good values that would want to use a studio, a Christian studio. So that
Yes.
was the thought behind it when put it to the board to start. We had nothing about a pandemic. We just needed, and we need a good studio,
Yes.
right? We
Yes.
need one that going on the cutting edge of technology. That's what we
Right.
need.
Right.
So we built a studio that can take it. We can continue to transform. When technology change, we should be able to change with it. And you know, God is so good. Recently, we got two television camera. A church in the state was changing out their
Yes.
equipment,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
going higher tech. And one of my young minister who grew up under us, he called and said, "Pastor, this church is clearing out. I mean, what do you need?" I said, "Two cameras or whatever we can get." And in COVID, we could not pay for those cameras. Not now.
I know, I know about those changing out scenarios, and I know, so even though it might seem like they're done upgrading, what they're actually
Exactly.
changing out is high tech stuff.
And we have suddenly gone a notch up in our tele, in our broadcasting coming out of the church, right? Gone way up, right? Just that one move. So you are faithful to God, and God
Yes.
continue to be faithful. And
Yes.
that's the God we serve, And so you hear about these testimonies of how God is good and the things. So the cameras in the sanctuary, we don't have to be rushing now to go up in between services. That's Sunday, you're grabbing a camera to rush into the studio for the children's program to start. We don't need to
Yes.
do that because we are getting there. We are
Yes.
getting
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So we're about to wrap shortly. We're not, guys. This is not a long one.
I'm
This is the
glad.
final one.
When you're coming over 200 miles, you want to go to bed.
Yes,
So.
exactly. Yes. But I know you're, as you said, in terms of, where you're coming from, and I know you had a long day. What I want you to do is just take a minute, Bishop, and I want you to speak to that young man or young woman who is just about starting to go into ministry. Um, you have been in ministry over 40 years. You have obviously been where they are now, and you have been through the ups and downs up to where you are now. what kind of encouragement would you have for such a young person who is just about contemplating? They may be bivocational as you were, and the call of God is on their life, and they're saying, "Yeah, I need to leave one vocation and focus on full-time ministry." What would your encouragement be to such a person?
Tremendous calling. There's no calling on earth that is as important as the call of God into ministry. It's not a call to be a politician. It is not a call to be a businessman. It's not a call to be an entrepreneur. It's a call to be a servant of the Most High. Make sure that you are called, especially if you're going now in COVID. I struggled with my call for many years. When I made the move, it was, I think it's Mark chapter 8:35. If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. That has been my strength, my motivational factors. When things get tough, I remember the scripture. When there are challenges, I remember that scripture that I know without and beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Is there, Bishop? Some sound words from Bishop. Bishop, you're there? We lost Bishop there for a second. He was just encouraging that young soul. Are you there, Bishop? Are you there? All right. So we're not hearing Bishop. All right. Well, guys, it may have been a premature end. Oh, he's back. Yes,
Can you
Bishop.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I took my camera out because that might be able to help. I was saying that make sure that your call is really of God. Right? Have a mentor, someone that you can speak with, someone that you can clear things on. Even though I'm in the ministry for these many years, I have servants of God around me that I call and I run things by from time to time, and I share with. Person does the same with me, so we have that kind of relationship.
Right.
Make sure there's somebody that you're always accountable to in ministry, because that will always be important. And stay humble before the Lord.
Yes.
No matter how high you go or where He takes you, don't forget humility. Don't forget your integrity. Be unashamedly ethical. Your word is your bond.
Yes.
The day you lose the word, you lose everything.
Yes. All right. Well, Bishop, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bishop, for taking the time. I know you had to turn off the camera because of the connection. Thank you so much for taking the time to being with us. And I hope you enjoy the fish. You're gonna prepare some fish Fish is one of my favorites, you know, but yeah. So, but it was
Good,
a good
good.
chat. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. I know we're doing some stuff together, so we'll be in touch, and we'll take this relationship
Bless you.
further. All right. So have a good rest of the night. Get some rest.
Have a
Thank you
good
very
evening.
much.
All
Yes,
right,
man.
I'm certainly going to do that. God bless. Take care.
Yeah, man. Guys, thank you very much for joining, for staying. This is the final episode in the season. Thank you for all of those who have been here, who have been watching, who have been participating, liking, sharing. Stay tuned to this space. We'll be updating you as to what's next, what we're going to be doing next, what we're going to be chasing after. So, this is bye for now from SpurrLIVE Leadership Conversations. Have a good rest of